Okay, my name is Scott Donkin. I'm a chiropractor, consultant, author, and worked with Dr. Meyer a quarter of a century ago. A lot of this that we're talking about today is rooted back in when he was president and CEO of Carnegie Mellon's Driver Training and Safety Institute. Go ahead and next slide. One of the core foundational ideas is your body hears everything your mind says, and your mind remembers everything your body feels. So there's a mind-body, body-mind axis that if we can address them together, accelerate and create lasting results. Next slide. So at the turn of the millennium, Dr. Meyer initiated the Driver Training and Safety Institute, where we trained truck drivers and emergency vehicle operators. Back in the day, the engaged person was the talk of HR in the corporate model to help foster an engaged person with more retention, more safety, better productivity, client loyalty, and profitability. Now, go ahead and go to the next slide. At that time, we deployed numerous departments in order to address the comprehensive issue of safer, more competent drivers. On the upper left-hand side, there is a Teflon-coated airport runway equipped with plumbing to create a skid so that drivers would learn how to drive certain skills while they're actually on the road. In the middle slide on the top row, before there were smartphones, there was a smart truck that was wired electronically with dozens and dozens of sensors to understand how the driver was operating the vehicle and then train in best practices. In the upper right, there's computer-based training, which is now online. It used to be in the classroom. And the middle slide on the bottom was the health and wellness department, which is what I was in charge of developing and integrating in with the other departments. And we found that learning is stressful and change is painful. And a person's intuitive response is fight, flight, freeze. That's a barrier to learning in this environment and actually in our environment today. So we used particular tools to create a counterintuitive response, which was focus on the solution rather than being frozen in fight, flight, freeze. Next slide. So we used instruments and devices and processes to measure baselines and outcomes at the Research Institute. We used, in the health and wellness department, we used physical measurements. We used instrument surveys for baseline assessments and a pre-test on a person's knowledge of well-being. Go to the next slide. And then we have an outcome. So it was an 8-week program at the Driver Training and Safety Institute. So we had a beginning, we go through the process. In the health and wellness, we got 1 hour a day or 40 hours total out of the 8-week program. Go to the next slide. HAL would be a representative sample of class 22, and 1,400 people went through this program. So physically, HAL would reduce his body fat from 32.3% to 24.2%. Body impairment, which is range of motion, impaired range of motion is restricted motion that impairs performance, dropped it from 29% whole body to 15%, improved his knowledge and his cardiovascular capacity. What was really important with the representative of HAL was this quote: "I learned new stretching techniques, how to strengthen muscles, I stopped smoking, and my mind is more clear and focused. It motivated me to work out and stay with it, and more family members are working out." So the outcome, if you were in HR and you put your HAL that was an employee at your company through this process, you would have someone that is healthier, more engaged, social, and has sustainability as far as his healthy habits that he developed. Next slide. And so when the research project stopped, Gerard went on with his other founders to develop the Mental Wellness Society, Mind Evoke, and these tools. What I did was I went back to Lincoln, Nebraska, where I practice, and I work with companies, both large and small, local and global. This is one that I work with for 20 years already. from 2002 to 2022 on reducing injuries and accidents. If you look at the top bar, they started off with $163,000 worth of direct costs for work comp injuries. Adjusted for medical costs today, that would be close to $400,000. And you can see
2 million from then to now.
Okay, 500,000 now. And so if you go over 20 years, if they didn't do anything, that would be $10 million worth of costs in this 20-year period. So what we did was we applied a lot of the strategies that we deployed at DTSI and actually drove injuries down to near zero for the course of 5 years in running. Okay, so go back to the previous slide. Okay, so from HR, the quote at the bottom says, it takes time, persistence, and strong commitment to your goals to really change your workforce culture, but the benefits are well worthwhile. So cultural change within an organization is possible using parameters that we've already discussed. Does it work on the ground? Yes, it does. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the mind and body holistic approach is to fuse function of mind and body to get the greatest outcome. And so we go to the next slide now. So what now, instead of the Driver Training and Safety Institute, the brick and mortar location is called the Mind, Movement, Mood, Wellbeing Centers, or M3+. Along with my work at Carnegie Mellon with Dr. Meyer, we co-authored a book called Peak Performance, Body and Mind, How to Make Your Body Last a Lifetime. And go ahead to the next slide. So now within M3+, which is the brick and mortar location within my office here in Lincoln, Nebraska, we have what's called the resilience rooms, M3+ resilience rooms. This is one of the rooms. This is the medium-sized room. We actually can have a table here for consultation through Zoom on that TV there. You'll see me deploying Resimax and the BOD, which are validated instruments we use to help a person first reduce the thinking patterns of being in this VUCA world and being preoccupied with their own patterns that they're stuck and not able to become clear thinkers again. So in a case like HAL for DTSI, we have D. This is before M3+ intervention here in this location. This lady was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, chronic recurring musculoskeletal pain, post-traumatic stress disorder, plus complex PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, ADHD, and anxious distress. So her treatments before were included psychiatric medications and cognitive therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, EMDR, and these were treatments that she did before she was here. Dee was not unwilling to be engaged. She was unable to be engaged because of things that were within her holding her back. So her transformation began with a question. She asked me, she said, do you know anybody that does yoga for a trauma release? And I said, well, I know a process that might be very helpful for you. So we went through the M3+ intervention, which included some standard intake forms, other assessments that we use online, resonance therapeutic instruments, such as the BOD and Resimax, evoke somatic coaching, which involves the coaching that using the Mind Evoke cards. And we did this for a period of 4 weeks. Okay, the 30-day outcome was there were profound changes in relief from her IBS, chronic musculoskeletal pain, and the other that were diagnosed conditions that if you're an HR within a company, you know that each of these conditions has costs associated with it and ongoing considerations regarding what is the cost of treatment and what are the likely outcomes.
And we also used, I'm sorry to indicate, we also use evoke somatic movement, which is a movement which is in fact a somatic awareness movement where there is movement at the same time that we are using the card.
Right. And so the real life response from her was mindful choice was the first method to teach me how I can reconnect to my body and confidently soothe my body during times of distress. I began to have experiences that many people think of as standard, but she didn't consider as standard because it wasn't in her. Going down, she said I could feel pleasant sensations and enjoy them. Most of my therapy journey at that point was head knowledge. She was able to, through the resonance therapeutics, the movement patterns, evoke somatic movement that were done in-house in my office, zoomed in from external sources. And this, at the final, she says, this is a new sensation where mind and body are cooperating instead of being at war with one another.
And her testimonial will be online with this session. So
Yeah.
you will be able to see also the testimonial. But in 1 month, you see the before and after. She tried everything and she tried our cocktail. On 1 month, we got result.
Right.
Because we are looking at making her to function. We are not looking at the problem. We are looking at the solution.
And she is
Salome,
delighted.
I'm sorry, but
Nope.
you still have time to speak. I think there will be very, very, very little time for question answer. But Salome, please.